Hey guys, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and I went and saw the new AntMan. This is going to be my spoiler review on it. We got a couple XMen Easter eggs. But yeah, subscribe, comment, share. Remember to get into the giveaway for the where's it at? For the metallic Caraxi Funko Pop. All you have to do is subscribe and comment, and I'm gonna pick a winner at the end of the month. And I think I have a better program than I did last time for the Loki horns. I really liked this. I understand that people had issues with the tonal shift. Oh, and hi to the new subscribers, and hi to all the subscribers that are coming back. You know that I love you all so much. Leave a penguin down in the comments. Oh, and I think I fixed the comment issue, and I'm getting to them. I really liked this, and I don't understand why people were hating on it so much. Why was there so much hate towards this? I saw two major things: the tonal shifts, and people were like, I didn't know where it was emotional, and I didn't know where it was trying to be funny and stop that emotion. And then the other big one was there was too much like kerfuffle coming at you. Where it's like, if you're not a Marvel fan, yes, there was a lot of science jargon, there was a lot of multiverse stuff, and if you weren't prepared for that, I can understand where trying to take all of that in would be a lot. Now, my mom, she's got the MCU down, so I can't even use that as an example. Sometimes with certain things, it takes her a second, like a second watch or whatever it is, and then or I have to break it down for her. And the way that I was breaking this down, because this is the first Marvel movie I've seen without her, because she got surgery, she had knee surgery, so she couldn't sit for that long, and it was just weird going without her. It was strange. Missed her a lot. The way I explained it to her is, remember in the beginning of the Jim Carrey Grinch or Horton Hears a Who, but remember in the beginning of the Grinch when Anthony Hopkins is doing the voiceover and he's like on the tip of a snowflake, and then we zoom in on the snowflake, and then we zoom in farther, and then we zoom in and we see Whoville. Or like I said, Horton Hears a Who with those horrible scary brothers that are trying to throw that little flower into the boiling pot and the big elephant's protecting it. Horton Hears a Who, and there's a whole little world living on that little dandelion. That's the quantum realm. Okay, so there's this little mini world that has certain things and characteristics, but honestly, if you just don't want to know all that stuff, you really don't have to know it. If you sit back and just go, okay, big picture, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We're stuck at this size. We found a whole other it's just like going to an alien planet. And that is the one thing, too, that kind of irked me, but I only noticed it in the beginning, and then it stopped. But it was a big thing. But like I was saying, I can see where if you aren't ready for the Marvel multiverse and the science stuff and all of it to be coming at you, I can see where this could be overwhelming to some people or to a casual viewer. But to Marvel fans, I really liked this, and I thought the effects were really good, except for when they were trying way too hard to do 3D stuff. There was a couple times with creatures. Other than that, I really like the creature design, both practical and CGI. There's a couple times where they got a little wonky looking, and I know it's because they were supposed to be in 3D. But the one thing that suffered the most from the whole 3D thing is MODOK. I mean, besides him being just like a weird design already, he just looks off. It just looks off. It looks just not right. And I definitely think that's why. Those are my few things with that. But my issue with the way it looked, especially in the beginning when they first like dropped into the quantum realm, and I would say for the first like maybe 5 minutes we were in there, I couldn't stop thinking, God, who called Star Wars and said, hey, do you have any sets that you didn't use? Can we borrow those? Would that be cool? And then who called James Cameron and said, hey, can I just have all the footage you didn't use for Pandora and turn it red and throw maybe some like spikes on some stuff and change it up a little bit because we need to like make this area. And it just felt like Star Wars and like anti-Pandora from Avatar put together for a minute. But then I only thought that way for a minute, and then I was like, okay, I'm back immersed into the Marvel world. But for a second I was like, this is looking awfully Star Wars-y. This is looking awfully Pandora-y. I don't know why it looks like that, but then like I said, it didn't. After we started meeting more characters is when that went away. One character I will hype up is the mind reading one. I thought that was the funniest stuff in the whole movie. Another small issue I had with the pacing was, and then we'll get into all the good stuff, the small issue I had with the pacing was like, I thought at some points we did a really good job of hyping up Kang, but at one point it became too long, and it was like, no, we needed him like, it's I don't want to say it's terrible, because it's not, because at one point I was like, no, they're doing a really good job of hyping him up, and then I was like, I just want to see him. So I just might have been geeked is all it is. And I'll probably have a different opinion on a rewatch, because that one was like, let's put it this way, it was slim for me to even mention it as an issue, because I wouldn't even call it an issue. I would say like, maybe have him show up a little bit sooner, because they won't even say his name at first. And I kind of was thrown off. Now, Michelle Pfeiffer is a goddess amongst us. She was robbed for not being nominated for an Academy Award for Catwoman in '92. That is my favorite Catwoman. That is my favorite Batman movie. Oh my God. But either way, kind of jacked up that you never told the man you love about the life's work he's done exists. There's a whole bunch of jacked up stuff going on with you. And then anytime you dropped her name, it was like, what did you just say? Do you want Jesus? Janet, that's her name. Janet. They'd be like, you know Janet? Oh, it's on then. Okay. And he's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, yeah, we know Janet. Oh, let me let Hobart out. I didn't mind them making Cassie an activist, but not putting a cause behind it, because then you can insert your own thing, and we have to have a conflict for the parent and the child to resolve. And so with Scott and Cassie, she's going to jail, but they very quickly tell us it's because of she's at protests and she's at these rallies, and they, like I said, they never say a cause. And to me, it comes off like you're shying away a little bit, cowering out a little bit, like you don't want to go the full mile. But I will give Disney credit with this, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, like they did have messages more than they used to in these, so I'm giving them credit there. But it's not saying anything grand in this, and it's not saying anything that harms anybody in this. So it's like, it's not like they did anything in a gross way that it's harming anybody, but they also, it's like, are you just trying to be preachy with that? But like I said, we do have to have that conflict that brings the parent and kid back together again in the end. And I liked Scott and Cassie's relationship because I felt like it was really organic. I felt like she kind of stuck it to him a few times, and that's what a kid would do. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, the blip happened, you were gone. What do you mean? I liked her doing that stuff like that. I don't think, I don't know if she'd be that well adjusted, but what do I know? Ant-Man's kind of like retired, and it bothers his daughter because she's like, you could be doing more, you could be helping regular people on the daily, and you're not. And he's like, come on. And I genuinely was laughing at the book stuff. Now, here's what I want to know. He was in a different universe at the end of the movie, right? Because in the beginning, he didn't have to pay for his coffee and stuff. At the end of the movie, they were like, no, you got to pay. And I want to say his hair color was different, but I'm going right from seeing it to making this. So I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he's in a different universe now. And this is how I think they're going to introduce X-Men, because not only did they bring up something that sounds very similar to a Sentinel, but in the end credits, when we see that Ramatut Kang, or the Pharaoh looking Kang, that Kang runs away from Apocalypse, right? Or Apocalypse runs him out of town. He has a run-in with Apocalypse, but not only did that character, like I said, that's a little one, that's a stretch a little bit, but the way they described the robots that attack if you go wherever, I was like, that sounds like it could be a Sentinel, but it might not be. But now if Scott came back and he thinks he's in his regular universe, but really he just jumped one over to the one the X-Men are in, there we go, there's the X-Men. Michelle Pfeiffer's character is hiding that she knew Kang. I don't know if we were banging Kang. I think we all thought it. Did we all think Michelle Pfeiffer was banging Kang? And then you went back to Michael Douglas. And I stand by this, and shout out to Roach from Medical Mondays, because he called me the day it came out, and I was like, I didn't see it yet. And I said, who was the funniest one in the movie? And I totally forgot that Bill Murray did a cameo, and he was like, Michael Douglas. And he was right. I do think Michael Douglas was the funniest one in this movie, and that's hard to do against Paul Rudd and even a cameo from Bill Murray. We find out that Cassie is making this beacon to send a signal into the quantum realm, and that's like her version of like smoking pot. As a teen, instead of doing that, she's like, oh, I'm gonna make a scientific invention that screws up dimensions. And it's like, do something normal, you Marvel kids. And I feel like they're trying to cram these kids down our throats too fast. And I do think Wakanda Forever did it the best because of the juxtaposition between Namor having no love and the burden of the throne at a young age. And then we see T'Challa's son, and she says outright, I want him to grow up away from the burden of the throne. And Namor didn't have that choice. And you have two different rulers raised in two different ways, and it makes a difference, but they still want to protect and love their people. That's the only one that I was like, this organically fit into the story. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, the grandson there, those organically fit. The rest of these kids, I feel like you're just jamming them down our throats. And I get what you're doing, and I'm not hating on any of them. They're all doing a great job, but I just feel like it's going a little too quick for my liking. But Cassie's got a bigger role that comes into play. Yeah, instead of doing normal things like, I don't know, smoking in a garage or drinking with their friends out of a water bottle at a football game, all of these Marvel kids are like building space tech in their garages and crap, and it's like, no kid's doing that. And I feel the same way with some of these kids. I'm like, are any of them normal? Besides, like, even Spider-Man's friends aren't normal. They're all super smart at a super smart school. Like, nobody's normal. Everybody's going to MIT. What? Chill on the MIT. Does everybody want to be an engineer? I don't understand. either way, we're getting off topic. The kid is building equipment to send beacons into the quantum realm, and that was the one. There was a couple things where I was like, what? That was one of them. Michelle Pfeiffer keeping so many secrets. I'm like, okay. This is more than one hefty secret you're keeping. But I also understand, like, you're trying to protect people from Kang, but at the same time, you never tell nobody about this ever. Even when you came back and you're like, oh wow, there's slim chances that I might, or we might, or somebody might pop back out of that world, and it's like you never once thought, oh, that scary Conqueror who's slaughtering my friends. You never thought, like, I'm sorry, but that, her keeping that a secret for so long, and not even having a line of dialogue that says, like, I wanted to tell you at this time, and remember when I went to tell you on our honeymoon wherever, or like vacation, like something, because I'm just like, no. And the other part that really bugged me, and I have this in my notes, I wrote it down in my hand, Prometheus. They were pulling the Prometheus when they got there. Everybody's whipping off their helmets. Now, Janet, she's been there. So, okay, you know the world. Scott, Hope, Cass, you guys don't. You guys are whipping off your helmets. You guys are grabbing objects. You're drinking stuff. You're touching stuff. No scientists would be doing that. So Scott maybe, but everybody else, nobody would be doing that. And everybody's just whipping off their helmets, touching everything. And I'm like, no scientist would be. I'm a dirty factory rat. And I know not to do that. Like, you don't know this ecosystem. What are you doing? So yeah. There were little things like that bother me. How come none of these Marvel kids are normal? She's building the beacon. Then Janet's like, you don't know who you just summoned. And then they all get sucked into the quantum realm. Everybody's touching everything like Prometheus, sticking everything in their mouths. Nothing a scientist would ever do on a foreign planet. And it's like, whoa. Either way, and it's just little things like that. And Michelle Pfeiffer, Janet's character, keeping so many secrets. I did like her little fake fight, like handshake with the natives. I liked that. I liked that everybody got a one-on-one scene to fight in this. Like Hope did. I thought that was cool. AntMan did. Cassie did. Michelle Pfeiffer got that little piece of whatever, and then she was like a part of the main plot, so she had a lot going on. Michael Douglas got to come in with the plane, and I thought all of that stuff was really, or the jet, and I thought all of that was really funny. When they get to the quantum realm, they're split up, and they're pulling the Prometheus, they're touching everything. I just found that so irritating. But so we have Janet and Hank over here, and we have Scott, Hope, and Cassie over here. Right? Okay, they're on opposite sides, and Cassie's like, Dad, drink that goop, and that stuff was all really funny. I did really like having Scott meet that native group. That was genuinely funny. I liked that a lot. I really liked them being able to take shots of whatever, and then they could hear in their native language. I thought that was cool. Like I said, I'm sorry I don't remember this character's name. I thought she was cool. I have Xeno Warrior Princess. I really like the leader of that tribe, or those native people. I thought that was cool. Did anybody else catch the designs of those people that looked just like the Infinity Stones? They were dead ringers for the Infinity Stones, right? Or was that just like to laugh at us? Are meeting these native people who are telling them all about how their home was decimated and their lives were ruined and this, that, and the other. We have Janet and Hank over here, and she's like, I know all the spots. And so that's when she does the secret handshake fight. And wait, is Hope with them over there? Oh yeah, so it's Scott and Cassie over here. And then Hope is with Janet and Hank. Sorry, I screwed that up. It's all fresh in my brain, all jumbled up. But yeah, so we have Cassie and Scott doing their father-daughter thing over here, and then this family over here, these three, Hank, Hope, and Janet over here, because Hope does her own thing fighting these guys off when Bill Murray does the flip on them. But can we please get Bill Murray, Benicio del Toro, and Jeff Goldblum, the Collector, and all of them together to do a sitcom, Disney Plus, do like a funny sitcom of them being roommates, living together, doing basic sitcom hijinks. I think that would be really funny. Can we all get that in the comments? Like, wouldn't that be great? Jeff Goldblum, Benicio del Toro, and Bill Murray, and they're all living together as their Marvel characters. And a Sopranos-esque Jabba the Hutt prequel. That's all I want. But either that one I can take or leave, but I really would rather take it. But Bill Murray shows up. At first I thought it was the Collector. It was Bill Murray's character. And he's just like, you remember that? Well, this is a terrible one, but it's got a great song. It's got the Daft Punk song, End of the Line. And it's in the newer Tron that came out. And it's when they go to the club and then they meet the guy that can get them fake IDs, get them through the grid and all that stuff. And this is the same thing with Bill Murray. Janet and Hank and Hope go to see this guy because he's essentially like a gangster who runs the town, and then he acts like he's her friend, and then he's not, and he starts going in on Janet about like they don't even know you. They don't even know what type of evil you left us to. They don't even know about him. They don't even know about him, yada, yada, yada. And she is trying to, she doesn't really defend herself, which I give her credit there. She doesn't defend herself because she knows she's in the wrong. He starts going off, and then she goes, well, you work for him now, because she starts hearing like the Empire jets coming in and stuff. She's like, well, you're the one working for him now. And when they come in, that's when Hope gets her solo fight scene that I thought was really cool. Literally, my notes say nobody likes Janet, because nobody did like, the second Janet's name got dropped, it was like, get out of here. The second Scott and Cassie were like, yeah, we know Janet. They were like, yeah, you need to go. That's her buddy. And we find out that Kang and Janet were buds. Were they banging? We were all thinking it. Were they banging? And then he went back to Hank Pym. I'm just saying. I did think it was nice to see Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, Bill Murray all at one table in one movie. I thought that was, it's just like three great actors. We have the native people getting attacked, and this entire time Hank is just like so taken back that the thing he's been studying exists, that he's just kind of taking it all in the most. Michelle Pfeiffer's like, I just screwed up everything. Like I said, there's so many lies, and just, it's not even lies, it's just information that she's omitted, and that it's like, it's not just one thing, it's a bunch of things, you know, but it was more about like Cassie and Scott, I guess, I don't really know what the conclusion was supposed to be, other than opening up a can of worms, but that's what it's supposed to do, and people have complained about other Marvel movies that have done that, and then guess what, they, excuse me, they come full circle in the end. As soon as this tribe finds out that they know Janet, they're like, get the hell out of here, and they're like, because that's who he's going to be looking for, and they keep calling Kang he, and I really like that a lot. It's like Jaws without showing the shark, and that's why we're so afraid of it, because we don't see it as much. So they're like, he's going to come for her, he's going to come for her, he's going to come for her, and we find out that Janet can fix this core to his ship and all this stuff, and the military comes, they destroy this tribe, they burn everything to the ground, they're like, thanks a whole lot, a bunch of them get locked up in jail, and there was some gruesome, and I'm kind of getting, I mean, it's not that I want to see violence like that, but when you constantly are having it be like creatures or not human things, you kind of take away the stakes a little bit. But they did still have like impactful, gruesome kills that happened. Like a couple of the members of the tribe that we get to know, like the guy with the flames that shot out of his head and stuff like that. And we see them go out, and it's genuinely sad, but I'm like, you kind of take away from the stakes when you don't let any humans go. And the whole time, everybody's just like, run from Kang. But then they both get put on one mission to go for the core. Kang gets Cassie and tells Scott, you gotta go get it for me. Hope and Janet and Hank are over here going, we're gonna go in and get it for our reasons of keeping it away from Kang. Now, when we meet Kang, it's great. I was smiling, grinning from ear to ear the entire time. I was grinning like a Cheshire cat from ear to ear the entire time Kang was on screen. I absolutely love this character. I think he's more interesting than Thanos. I think he's more attractive than Thanos, more menacing than Thanos. I think he's way better than Thanos. I really do. And I'm glad this one didn't give him some sappy ass, make me feel bad for you backstory. I loved that he was just out here to conquer. I really liked that, and I liked the tattoos that almost look like tears, but like war paint too. And well, not tattoos, they're scars, and I think they're scars, but I thought that was such a cool design, especially when we got to see the Council of Kangs. I really thought that was sick, and I loved that. But god damn, did he have some good lines when he said, oh my god, man, when he talks about killing Avengers and all the other universes, I was like, oh my god, I love this. How cold is that? How cold is that? And then when he said, I win, I'm like, oh my god, I love this guy. I love him. Oh my god, did I call him Jonathan Myers? It's Jonathan Majors. Sorry, I gotta turn this heat off. God, it's hot as hell. So we meet Kang. Jonathan Majors is great. I couldn't, everything he said was great. I was laughing or smiling at everything he said, but sometimes not in a good way, and I'm very aware of that. But I do think I was in a dumb theater. I do think I was in a dumb audience that wasn't picking up on cues that were correct. I really don't. Because I'm like, and it wasn't just with Kang. It was with tons of situations. I'm like, this is supposed to be funny. He looks over at Janet and is like, you haven't told them? That was like full Scar from the Lion King vibes in the greatest way possible. I loved that a lot. Okay, this is going to be a throwback though. If you're around my age and you played this, you'll know. Tell me why that city looked just like Xanarkand. Especially when it lit up. It looked just like the summoning. It was at the end of the game. It looked just like Xanarkand. But yeah, no, I think that this Kang, and I loved the Willy Wonka left alone. What was he calling himself? Like, I call him the Willy Wonka Kang. That was in Loki. I love that take on him, this old, like, I've been alone too long character, and now Kang the Conqueror. It must be super fun to be able to play all those different roles and all in one character. But I do think between Loki and this guy, this character, if you want to consider it one, well, I do because it's one actor. He's had the best lines any villain has had in all of Marvel. And you guys know that Marvel is, I'm not talking about a Loki, I'm not talking about an anti-hero, I'm talking about a villain. And we got a villain finally, a good one. And you didn't throw him away like you did with Michael B. Jordan. The one issue I did have, the ants were a little too close to the rats in the Suicide Squad. But I didn't hate it. I did like the ants coming in. So we already know that Cassie's doing the activism. We know that Janet and Hope and Hank are all in on knowing that, well, Janet doesn't know about her little beacon, but they all know that she's doing stuff behind Scott's back, whether that be the activism or working on the quantum realm, because that's totally normal for teens and young 20s to do in their house. I don't know. But, and I do know that Kang ties in there. We're going to get to that at the end. But I just don't like the way they're forcing them at us so quick. We know that Cassie's been doing this activism, right? And she's had a couple little lines in there that, like I said, they're not totally cringy, but you're not making a huge stance on anything. But like I said, I can appreciate you trying. But the one thing where I was like, oh, this could be a little weird. So sorry, I don't know her name. I just got out of it. Xena Warrior Princess, the leader of the chief of the tribe. When she helps her escape, I liked that she immediately was like, I don't have a plan. I'm following you because you're a badass and you're way cooler than me, way faster than me, way stronger than me. You're calling the shots. I'm just helping you get out. And I liked them doing that instead of her being like, I saved you. It's like, you're cutting it close, but you didn't do what I thought you were going to do. So let's make steps forward. Scott agrees to go on this heist again, and I did like them going back to their roots of him going on this heist for Kang to get the core to run his ship. While Janet and them over here are like, no, not going to happen. We're not going to let you get to it. But Scott's saying, no, I want my daughter back no matter what. I'm just glad there was no skybeam. There was really cool fight sequences. And I like that Kang's choreography isn't like, it's not like John Wick. It's not like Gung Fu. It's not like quick. It's like brutal. And he's stomping his head in and stuff. And I thought that was telling and really cool. And I thought that was a nice touch. But it wasn't the same as other villains and characters we've had that just know how to fight. And it's like, obviously Kang knows how to fight, but like I said, his blows are more savage and brutal than they are like quick and skilled. And it's like, I'm sure he's very skilled. But yeah, man, when he said I win, and when he was going in about the Avengers, that part I was like, oh man. And I think the people next to me were horrified that I was laughing. So we have Ant-Man going on the heist, and now this is where things are going to get a little weird. When there starts being tons of him popping up, tons and tons and tons of him for each different chain of events that could happen. That's where I think people are going, what the hell is going on? This is where that's where I think you were losing a few people, and it was just all the different outcomes. And I thought the Baskin Robbins joke was funny, but I liked Hope swinging in to save him. But the best part about that was it wasn't Hope, it wasn't anything else, it was Cassie that got him through. And I did like the whole group of Ant-Men pushing him up, but I can definitely see where a casual viewer would be going, what the hell is going on, and why are there 10 million Paul Rudds on the screen? They get the core, they get it in, it's a whole fight around it, we end up breaking it, but then it's not really broken, and we all get through the portal, but then we have to come back through it again because the job isn't finished. So Cassie gets through, Hank gets through, Janet gets through, all back to our universe, right? And Hope even goes through, and I really did, I thought for a minute they were going to leave him there, and Ant-Man stays behind to fight with Kang, and that's when he's getting his head stomped in and stuff. And then Hope comes back help save Ant-Man a little bit, and it's like a 50-50 thing, whatever. And then they both go back to our universe together. Now when we get back to that universe, like I said, there's a few things that are off, like him having to pay for his coffee and a couple other things. And I thought it was funny when he was like, but didn't you say that we were all gonna die and yada yada yada? And he was like, shouldn't I be concerned about that? I'll worry about it later. I thought that was, because here's the truth, that's kind of how we handle stuff. There's nothing you can do about it. Fall apart later. Deal with it and fall apart later. Like, what can you do? I will say this. It did feel a little bit like someone said, hey, make it kind of like Ragnarok, but don't make it directly Ragnarok. Like maybe call Taika Waititi. It just feels like it was it feels like it was an amalgam of several projects, but it was good. I liked it. I don't know why there's so much hate towards this. I really don't. Mid-credit scene where we get the Council of Kangs. And like I said, that pharaoh-looking one is Rama Tut. And then we have, which one's the other one? The Scarlet something, right? Scarlet Armor? Either way, we have 3 Kangs, and then there's a ton of Kangs. There's a whole bunch of Kangs. There's a million Kangs that are coming. And I really loved seeing that. But specifically, Rama Tut is a nod to Apocalypse, in my opinion. And like I said, if Scott let's say, remember the Dark Tower, and I find it very strange that everything is doing the Dark Tower right now. Time is a flat circle, yada, yada, yada. Multiverses. I mean, I know a lot of things do that, but when you're a Dark Tower person, you're like, this is child's play. Here's the beams of universes, and here's Scott, but he accidentally jumped to this one, which is slightly different, but still looks and sounds and feels like ours. So he doesn't even realize that he's not in the right universe. And then eventually he's going to realize he's not in the right universe. And I'm assuming that universe is going to be the ones with mutants in it. And that's how we're going to get the X-Men. And that's why I think that Rama Tut is a nod to that. And I definitely think when the way they were describing these robots that attack sounded a lot like Sentinels. That's all I'm saying. Also, I can't believe that MC Chris retweeted me. MC Chris, he worked on Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Space Ghost Coast to Coast. He did a bunch of albums. We used to listen to I still listen to his music, and he does rap and stuff. And I love MC Chris, but he has a lyric that, and I've been saying it to people, and I've been tweeting it, and it's "Wanna cover her like Kang when he kiss on Cassie Lang." Cassie Lang and Kang do have like a relationship, quote unquote, but I don't think they're doing that in the MCU. But he does have a super tight connection. This is where things are going to start getting crazy if you're not up on multiverse theory and stuff. He's Nathaniel Richards. So he's connected to the Fantastic Four group, okay? And Nathaniel Richards is the one who puts all these kids together into the Young Avengers eventually, okay? So I understand. I fully am aware. But I'm like, and I know we're getting the Fantastic Four, and I know that we're getting things, and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I'm just like, this is a lot for people to take in. And I don't know, I hope that they don't have this Kang be the one to put the Young Avengers together. I don't want this Kang to do that. I want this Kang to just be a badass. At least for now. At least for now, leave him alone. Don't go putting the cart before the horse and start. But like I said, it's not making a Young Avengers team, because we all knew that was going to happen. It's how they're force feeding them down our throats. That's all. And I'm just like, I feel like some of them aren't getting a fair shake because you have so much coming at us and so many things, not just in Marvel, but Grogu and the Mandalorian. We just have that dynamic a lot, right? Leia and Obi-Wan. We have it in a lot of places right now. And it's kind of, not only are superheroes a little bit oversaturated to people, that dynamic to me is kind of oversaturated. So I'm like, I'm kind of getting sick of seeing, like, I liked Hawkeye because I love Kingpin. Kingpin's my fave. But I'm like, I wasn't head over heels for it, but I really liked it a lot, and I really like those characters, but I'm just like, this one feels like you're force feeding me. Here's a kid, here's a Robin, because we really want to get our Teen Titans out before DC gets their Teen Titans out. That's how it feels to me personally, and I'm sorry, but they got you beat there. Not only does DC have you beat with villains, but they have you beat with that. The Teen Titans are the shit. But that's what they're doing. They're trying to get these Young Avengers together and get them going in the next phase of things or series or whatever, but I just don't like how they're force feeding them to us. And yes, Kang in the past is a part of that, but also in the present that ends up being what takes him down and all of this stuff. So it's a whole thing, and I don't want to get all into it and make it all convoluted when I'm talking about just this movie was good. I don't know why people are hating on it. But just know that I know about Nathaniel Richards and him going back, and it ends up being what takes him down, and yada yada yada. And we're keeping things simple today. And we're just going to say this movie was good, and I don't understand why there's so much hate towards it, and it's very weird. And then we get to the end credit scene. I think that Loki has been the best thing that Marvel has done since the first Avengers. I really do. Just like fundamentally speaking, from a production standpoint, Loki is the best thing they've done, and I love it. And if you've watched my reaction to Loki season 2, I was talking to a friend about it, and he said, Abby, who does Owen Wilson dress just like? And I was trying to think, I'm like, and he goes, think back in time, think this. And I'm like, and then he gave, and I was just like, Howard Stark. And he's like, yeah, we think that Morbius, Owen Wilson's character, is a variant of Howard Stark, of Tony's father. Boom. But if you watched my reaction, you already knew that. But I do think Loki, and bring back Loki Gator. Just bring him back. He's the best. But I'm so excited for Loki season 2. I think it's the best thing they've done. I like them showing this old-timey time machine. There was a couple times in the movie that I thought Kang was referencing the TVA. But I'm, like I said, I was in the dark trying to write on my hand, trying to write things down. Like, I didn't get it all, and I'm trying to remember it all, and I don't want to say something inaccurate, but I'm like, there's a couple times where it could be taken as he was referencing the Council of Kangs, but I think he was talking about the TVA, and I definitely think that in this universe that Scott Lang's in now, at the end of this movie, there's going to be X-Men, and I think that there was a nod to Sentinels, and maybe I'm totally wrong, maybe I totally heard that quote wrong, and I totally think that having Rama Tut there, he's directly connected to Apocalypse. I can't remember who runs who off, but somebody runs the other one out of Egypt, and they have beef. They run into each other, though. But yeah, there's a couple things in this that I found a little hokey. The ants, but I didn't mind it because I liked the ants, and I liked Hank Pym having a win, and I liked Hank Pym calling himself Ant-Man. But just the nod to Loki at the end was just the time machine, right? That was like the original one, and it was a time machine, and they're investigating something. Right? I guess I should have just looked these up on YouTube prior to making this. But I definitely think Owen Wilson, if he's not Howard Stark's variant, he's a variant of somebody. Oh, because then there's like a whole, like, he's related to, like, Kang's related to Doctor Doom. Like, there's a lot with Kang that I could talk about. But I think we're just going to do this little review. We'll wait for Mom for the next Marvel thing, and then we'll cover that. Because now I'm back in action, guys. Now I'm feeling good. I'm back in action. Remember the giveaway for the Craxy Funko Pop. I'm sorry if I left things out. After I see things at the theater, it's hard for me to be like, oh my God, especially when I don't have Mom. I realized how hard it is when I don't have Mom, because she picks up on so much that I don't. Oh, the Loki little snippet was like a warning about, it's like we're about to be warned about Kang, right? That's the big thing we're worried about. That's the next big Thanos level thing right now, right? It's going to be Kang and then the Kang dynasty and all that, right? But either way, Jonathan Majors is the best part of this movie. And there's Bill Murray, there's Michael Douglas, there's Paul Rudd, there's Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, this is a stacked cast. And man, dude, I think Kang is great. I think he's way better than Thanos. But yeah, subscribe, comment, share, hit the like. It's free. I'm sorry that I'm so scatterbrained. I always am when I get out of the theater, but yeah. Marvel, every time I think you're down and out, I should never count you out, but I stand by this. Kevin Feige. Oh, and remember, I'm on OnlyF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the stuff. It's down below. I'll put it in the comments, I'll put it in the description, yada, yada, yada. If you know Star Wars, you know that Dave Filoni runs a lot of stuff, and George Lucas calls him the son he never had, right? He trusts him with that IP. He trusts him with his story and his characters. He trusts Dave Filoni. I think if Kevin Feige could find his Dave Filoni, and that person just runs Disney Plus series, and Kevin Feige can focus back on the movies, I think we would stop feeling like we were spread so thin, because that's kind of how Marvel's feeling right now. I kind of felt that way until this came out. Like She-Hulk, I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. I liked the themes of it. I thought sticking Megan Thee Stallion in there was too much. There was just certain things that I was like, this is too much. It's too much. But it wasn't the themes of like women getting treated like shit in the workplace and things like that. That didn't bug me. That stuff hit fine. It was the other weird crap. And I'm like, it wasn't horrible. I liked She-Hulk. I'd give it like a 6 or a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to sit down and rewatch it, but it was fine. But I do feel like Marvel's been spreading itself too thin. And I do feel like Kevin Feige is a control freak who's like, I think he genuinely really loves these characters and doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. He also has a lot of money riding on that. And I think that he's spread too thin. And I think that he needs to find his number 2 that he trusts 100%. That can take over the series. That way we can get back to having stellar ones every single time, instead of going, is this going to be one of those or one of those? And I don't want that to happen. That sucks. But we got tons of stuff coming up. I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Stuff's down below. Streaming games, doing things. I don't know.